You think you're losing focus because you're tired, unmotivated, or burned out. You aren't. Your focus is being actively assassinated every single day by things so small you don't even register them as threats. Today, we are deleting them. Welcome back to DreamBuildAchieve. When we talk about losing time, we usually blame the big things. Binge watching a Netflix series, spending 3 hours playing video games, getting stuck in a YouTube rabbit hole. But those aren't the real killers of your momentum. The big distractions are obvious. You know when you're engaging in them. You make a conscious choice to sit down and watch that movie. The real danger, the absolute destroyer of your potential, lies in micro-distractions. A micro-distraction is that 2-second glance at your smartwatch when it buzzes. It's opening a new tab to quickly check your email while a page loads. It's the red notification bubble on your Slack or Discord. It's a 15-second scroll on Instagram while you're waiting for your coffee to brew. You think to yourself, it's just 2 seconds, it doesn't matter. But scientifically, neurologically, you are wrong. Every time you shift your attention away from your primary task, even for a fraction of a second, your brain experiences what researchers call attention residue. You don't just instantly snap back to 100% focus. It takes the average human brain 23 minutes and 15 seconds to return to a state of deep concentration after a single interruption. Read that again. 23 minutes. If you check your phone just 3 times in an hour, you are permanently locking yourself out of deep work. You are operating in a shallow, highly fragmented state of mind. You are giving your competition a massive advantage because you refuse to protect your attention. In this video, we are going to audit your environment, identify every single micro-distraction, bleeding your energy dry, and establish strict accountability contracts to eliminate them. We are going to rebuild your attention span from the ground up. Let's break down exactly what a micro-distraction is and why it's so lethal. A micro-distraction has 3 core behavioral variables. First, it is frictionless. It requires 0 effort to execute. Your phone is sitting face up on your desk. The tab is already open. The app is on your home screen. Second, it is variable in its reward. This is basic psychology. When you look at an email notification, you don't know what it is. It could be spam, or it could be a massive opportunity. That uncertainty spikes your dopamine. Your brain becomes addicted to the slot machine effect of checking. Third, it masquerades as productivity. This is the deadliest variable. Checking your email feels like work. Responding to a quick Slack message feels like work. Reorganizing your Notion dashboard feels like work. It is not work, it is motion, not action. To eliminate these, we have to recognize that our willpower is finite. If you rely on discipline to ignore the phone sitting on your desk, you will fail. Your discipline depletes over the course of the day. By 3 p.m., your brain will take the path of least resistance. Therefore, the solution is not to try harder. The solution is to engineer an environment where the micro-distraction cannot exist. Think about your current workspace. What is competing for your attention? I want you to literally look around you right now. Is your phone visible? Do you have multiple browser windows open? Are you wearing a smartwatch with haptics turned on? These are open loops. They are draining your cognitive bandwidth before you even start your work. We need to implement an immediate blackout protocol. To truly eliminate micro-distractions, you have to understand that you are not fighting a behavioral problem. You are fighting a chemical war inside your own biology. Every time you break focus, there is a literal physiological cost. Your brain is not a computer hard drive. It is a biological engine. And just like any engine, the way you drive it determines how fast you run out of gas. When we talk about the chemical hijack, we are looking at how micro-distractions weaponize your body's natural neurotransmitters against you. Specifically, we are looking at three main players: cortisol, dopamine, and glucose. Let's start with the trigger. Imagine you are deep in a flow state. You are reading, writing, or building something. Suddenly, your phone vibrates against the desk. In that fraction of a second, before you even consciously decide to look at the screen, your brain registers an auditory and physical anomaly in your environment. Your amygdala, the primitive threat detection center of your brain, fires. It releases a microdose of cortisol and adrenaline into your bloodstream. Evolutionarily, this mechanism was designed to keep you alive. It was designed to pull your attention away from picking berries so you could notice the predator snapping a twig behind you. It is a forced override of your attention system. Today, that predator is a Slack notification. Your brain is reacting to a meme your coworker sent with the exact same stress chemicals it used to survive in the wild. When that cortisol hits, you feel a subtle spike of anxiety. Your brain is telling you, look at the source of the noise to resolve the threat. So, you look. Now enters the second chemical, dopamine. You pick up the phone. It's an email. You don't know who it's from, and you don't know if it's good news, bad news, or junk. This is called a variable reward schedule. It is the exact same psychological mechanism used in slot machines. Because the outcome is unknown, your brain releases dopamine simply in anticipation of the reveal. You open the email, it's nothing important, but the damage is already done. You've just rewarded your brain with a cheap hit of dopamine for abandoning your work. You are actively training your neurochemistry to crave interruptions. You are building a behavioral loop that says, deep work is boring and hard. Distractions are exciting and rewarding. But the most devastating part of this cycle isn't the stress or the cheap dopamine. It is the metabolic cost of switching gears. Let's talk about glucose. Your brain represents only about 2% of your total body weight, but it consumes roughly 20% of your daily energy. The prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for complex problem solving, willpower, and deep focus, is the most energy-hungry region of all. Its primary fuel source is glucose. Every time you engage in a task, your brain has to load a specific set of rules, contexts, and memories into your working memory. When you shift your attention from writing a business proposal to checking a text message, your brain cannot run both processes simultaneously. The concept of multitasking is a biological myth. What you are actually doing is rapid context switching. You are forcing your prefrontal cortex to halt the business proposal network, clear the mental workspace, load the text message network, process the text, clear the workspace again, and reload the business proposal network. This process requires a massive burn of glucose. Think of it like driving a car. If you get on the highway and drive at a steady 60 miles per hour, your fuel efficiency is excellent. But if you drive that same distance in stop-and-go city traffic, micro-distractions are the mental equivalent of stop-and-go traffic. When you check your phone for just 5 seconds, you think you haven't lost any time. But you have paid a massive metabolic tax. You have burned the literal physical energy required to sustain high-level thought. This is exactly why the 3 p.m. burnout happens. The truth about the afternoon crash. You know the feeling. It hits mid-afternoon. Your brain feels foggy. Staring at the screen becomes physically painful. You lose the ability to string complex thoughts together. You tell yourself, I just need a coffee, or I shouldn't have eaten those carbs for lunch. While diet matters, your lunch is rarely the primary culprit. The 3 p.m. crash is a symptom of glucose depletion in your prefrontal cortex caused by thousands of micro-context switches throughout the morning. You didn't burn out because you worked too hard. You burned out because you refused to protect your attention. You allowed dozens of micro-distractions to bleed your cognitive fuel tank dry. By the time the afternoon rolls around, your brain physically lacks the chemical resources to resist taking the path of least resistance. This is when the actual heavy procrastination sets in. If you want to sustain elite performance for 8, 10, or 12 hours a day, you cannot afford to bleed energy on cheap stimuli. You have to become ruthlessly protective of your mental workspace. Rewiring the default network. To reverse this, we have to endure a period of chemical withdrawal. When you first eliminate micro-distractions, your brain is going to fight back. If you lock your phone in another room and stare at a blank document, within 5 minutes, you will feel an intense, almost physical itch to switch tasks. You will suddenly feel the urge to clean your desk. You will convince yourself that you urgently need to check an email from yesterday. That itch is not intuition. It is a dopamine deficit. Your brain is accustomed to receiving a micro hit of dopamine every few minutes, and when you cut off the supply, it induces anxiety to force you back into the loop. You must sit through the itch. This is the barrier to entry for deep work. The people who build empires, the people who master their craft, and the people who achieve their ultimate visions are the ones who can sit in the discomfort of a dopamine deficit without reaching for an escape hatch. When you refuse to break focus, a beautiful thing happens. After about 15 to 20 minutes of sustained attention, your neurochemistry shifts. The friction disappears. Your brain stops looking for external threats and locks into the task-positive network. This is the realm of flow. Time distorts. Work becomes effortless. The metabolic cost stabilizes because you are no longer starting and stopping the engine. But you cannot enter that state if you allow a micro-distraction to reset the 20-minute timer every time you get close. We have to build a fortress around your attention. We have to design an environment where the chemical hijack is physically impossible to trigger. We cannot rely on willpower because willpower is tied to glucose, and we already know that glucose depletes. Instead, we are going to remove the triggers completely. We are going to strip away the colors, the notifications, and the easy access points that your brain relies on to escape hard work. Next, we are moving into the execution phase. We are going to perform a brutal, uncompromising audit of your digital life. We have covered the chemical warfare happening inside your brain. You now understand that you cannot out-willpower a dopamine deficit. You cannot rely on discipline to ignore a digital environment engineered by billionaires to steal your attention. The only way to win this game is to rig the environment in your favor before you even sit down to work. Welcome to the digital audit. Most people mistake organization for focus. You might spend hours color-coding your calendar, downloading new productivity software, and organizing your files into perfectly labeled folders. That is not an audit. That is just rearranging the furniture inside a burning house. If your screens are still capable of interrupting you, you are still going to burn out by mid-afternoon. A true digital audit is about elimination. It is about stripping away every single visual trigger, every open loop, and every potential off-ramp from your deep work. We are going to transform your devices from slot machines back into tools. Tools do not tap you on the shoulder. Tools sit silently until you decide to use them, neutralizing the screen with the grayscale protocol. Your smartphone is the most dangerous weapon in your immediate environment, and its primary mechanism of attack is color. The application developers in Silicon Valley employ teams of neuroscientists to determine exactly which shade of bright red will trigger the highest anxiety response in your amygdala. Those red notification bubbles are not a design accident. They are biologically engineered to mimic the color of blood, danger, and urgency in nature. When you see that bright red dot, your brain registers an immediate threat that must be resolved. Similarly, the neon blues, bright purples, and vibrant greens used in application icons are designed to spike your dopamine just by looking at them. Your phone is visually screaming at you to touch it. To break this spell, you must kill the color. Go into the accessibility settings of your phone right now and turn on the grayscale color filter. It takes exactly 10 seconds. When you do this, something incredible happens. The magic instantly dies. Without the vibrant colors, your phone transforms from an addictive slot machine into a boring, lifeless slab of glass. When you look at a grayscale screen, the red notification bubbles blend into the gray background. They lose their artificial urgency. Scrolling through a social media feed in black and white is a miserable experience. The dopamine hit vanishes because the visual reward is gone. You will find yourself naturally putting the phone down after just a few seconds, simply because your brain is no longer chemically stimulated by the pixels. You are taking the weapon away from the engineers, eradicating the social media default setting. Your phone to grayscale is the defensive strategy. Now we go on the offensive. You have to break the physical muscle memory of micro distractions. You know exactly what I am talking about. You are sitting at your desk, waiting for an email to send or a video to render. Without even making a conscious decision, your hand reaches for your phone, unlocks it, and your thumb swipes directly to Instagram, TikTok, or X. You execute this sequence perfectly, completely on autopilot, like a zombie. You wake up out of the trance 3 minutes later, having completely derailed your train of thought. This happens because there is absolutely zero friction between the impulse and the reward. To stop the zombie tap, you have to introduce massive friction. Delete every single social media application from your phone. All of them. I am not telling you that you can never use social media again. I am telling you that you can no longer use it by default. If you truly want to check a platform, you are going to force yourself to do it through the mobile web browser. Think about the mechanical difference this creates. Instead of a mindless single tap, you now have to open your browser. You have to manually type out the web address. You have to log in. You have to deal with a clunky, poorly optimized mobile web interface. By inserting these deliberate steps, you create a buffer of time between the impulse and the action. In that 5-second buffer, your prefrontal cortex has the opportunity to wake up and say, wait, I am supposed to be working. I don't actually want to do this. Friction is the ultimate killer of the micro distraction. The one-tab rule for desktop environments. We have secured the phone. Now, we must secure the primary workstation. Take a look at your computer browser right now. If you are like most people, you have 20, 30, or 40 tabs open simultaneously. You have articles you plan to read later, half-written emails, analytics dashboards, and random YouTube videos all crammed into the top of your screen. Every single one of those tabs is an open loop. Every open tab is a subliminal reminder of something else you need to do, something else you are missing, or somewhere else you could be. They act as visual clutter that constantly drains your cognitive bandwidth. Your brain is unconsciously tracking all of them, trying to keep those tasks suspended in your working memory. You are actively inducing anxiety in yourself just by looking at your screen. Starting today, you operate under the one-tab rule. When you sit down to execute a block of deep work, you are allowed exactly one active browser tab. If you are writing a script, you have your word processor open and nothing else. If you are coding, you have your development environment open and nothing else. If you need to do research, you open a second tab, find exactly what you need, copy the information, and instantly close that tab. You do not leave it open for later. Closing tabs is an act of extreme focus. It is a declaration that the single task in front of you is the most important thing in the world at this exact moment. If an idea pops into your head for another project, you do not open a new tab to investigate it. You write it down on a physical piece of paper next to your keyboard, and you immediately return to the single tab on your screen. You must ruthlessly defend the perimeter of your current task, hiding the triggers and unpinning the dock. To finalize the digital audit, we have to clean the peripheral vision of your workspace. Even if you only have one tab open, your operating system is constantly trying to distract you. At the bottom of your screen is a dock or a taskbar loaded with colorful application icons. At the top of your screen is a menu bar loaded with battery indicators, Wi-Fi symbols, and hidden notification bells. These are all visual triggers. They are whispering to you, reminding you that your email client is just one click away. Hide the dock, auto-hide the taskbar, Remove every single icon from your desktop background. Change your desktop wallpaper to a solid, dark, neutral color. Do not use a chaotic landscape or a busy photograph. When you look at your computer monitor, you should see an endless, empty void, interrupted only by the single application you are actively using to build your future. When your screen is empty, your mind becomes empty. When your mind is empty, it is finally free to do the heavy lifting required for actual growth. You have now neutralized the digital threats. The software can no longer hijack your attention. But software is only half the battle. Your physical reality, the actual room you are sitting in, the chair you are in, the lighting hitting your eyes, is still communicating with your biology. If your physical environment is chaotic, your mind will remain chaotic, regardless of how clean your desktop is. We must bridge the gap between the digital void we just created and the physical world you inhabit. We need to build the bunker. We have completely sterilized your digital environment. Your screens are no longer actively working against your biology, but software is only one half of the equation. You exist in the physical world, and your brain is constantly scanning your physical environment for data, threats, and alternative options. If your digital workspace is a fortress, but your physical workspace is a disaster, you are still going to fail. Most people dramatically underestimate the cognitive load of physical objects. They assume that if they aren't actively looking at the pile of mail on the corner of their desk, it isn't affecting them. This is a fundamental misunderstanding of how human vision and spatial awareness operate. Your brain uses an immense amount of processing power to map your physical surroundings. Every single object in your peripheral vision acts as an open loop. That empty coffee cup from yesterday is not just a cup. It is a subconscious reminder of a chore you have neglected to do. That stack of unopened mail is a physical manifestation of pending decisions. That notebook from a different project is a visual cue competing for your attention. Every time your eyes dart away from your monitor for even a fraction of a second, your brain processes those objects. It registers their presence, identifies what they are, and subconsciously evaluates whether they require immediate action. This microprocessing drains your glucose reserves just as aggressively as switching digital tabs. To achieve a state of hyperfocus, we must eliminate all environmental decisions. We are going to build what I call the bunker mentality, the illusion of the aesthetic setup. Look around your workspace right now. Look at the surface of your desk. The productivity industry has sold you a lie about what a workspace should look like. You have been conditioned to believe that you need a highly aesthetic desk setup filled with plants, customized lighting panels, mechanical desk toys, and perfectly arranged notebooks to be productive. This is aesthetic clutter masquerading as optimization. You do not need desk toys. You do not need decorative items in your immediate line of sight. You need a void. When you sit down to execute a block of deep work, your physical desk should mirror the digital void we created in the last chapter. There should be nothing on your desk except the absolute bare minimum tools required to execute the specific task in front of you. If you are typing a script, you need a keyboard, a mouse, and a monitor. You do not need your wallet. You do not need your keys. You do not need a stack of sticky notes. Clear the surface entirely. Wipe it down. Create a physical blank slate. This physical emptiness sends a very clear, immediate signal to your prefrontal cortex. It communicates that all other options have been removed. There is nowhere else to look, nothing else to fiddle with, and nothing else to manage. There is only the work. Controlling the line of sight. Once the surface of the desk is clear, we must address your line of sight. Where is your desk positioned in your room? A massive mistake people make is positioning their desk to face a window. Or worse, positioning it so their back is to the door while they face the center of an active room. Evolution has hardwired us to monitor movement. If you are facing a window overlooking a street, your peripheral vision is constantly picking up cars driving by, people walking their dogs, and the wind blowing through the trees. You might think you are ignoring it, but your visual cortex is processing every single frame of that movement. It is a persistent, low-grade drain on your attention span. Similarly, if your back is to an open door, your amygdala will remain in a state of low-level hypervigilance. Your primitive brain is constantly anticipating someone walking up behind you. You cannot enter a deep flow state if your brain believes its physical perimeter is unsecure. You must anchor your line of sight. The optimal positioning for a deep work environment is facing a blank wall, with the door in your peripheral or forward vision, so your brain knows the perimeter is secure. The wall in front of you should be entirely bare. No posters, no whiteboards filled with chaotic ideas, no calendars. Just a solid, blank surface. When you look up from your screen to think, your eyes should meet a void. A blank wall forces your attention inward. It bounces your focus back into your own mind, rather than offering a visual escape route. You are deliberately creating an environment that is incredibly boring to look at, which forces your brain to find stimulation in the complex work you are doing on the screen. Lighting as a biological switch. The next variable in the physical audit is light. Light is not just a way to see your keyboard. It is the primary mechanism your body uses to regulate its circadian rhythm, energy levels, and focus. Most people work in rooms with terrible lighting topology. They turn on bright, overhead ambient lights that flood the entire room evenly. This flat, shadowless lighting is exactly what you find in corporate cubicles and grocery stores. It is designed for broad visibility, but it is terrible for intense, localized focus. To command your attention, you must use light to create a spotlight effect. Turn off the overhead lights. Plunge the peripheral areas of your room into shadow. Instead, use a single, highly focused desk lamp. Position the lamp so it casts a pool of light directly onto your keyboard and the immediate area in front of your monitor. This creates a high-contrast physical environment that mimics tunnel vision. Human beings are biologically programmed to look at the brightest object in a dark room. By making your immediate workspace the only brightly lit area in your physical environment, you are naturally guiding your visual system to lock onto the work. The darkness in your peripheral vision acts as a natural blinder. It hides any remaining physical imperfections in the room and dramatically reduces the amount of visual data your brain has to process. When you sit in that concentrated pool of light, you are physically stepping into a theater of focus. The rest of the world fades away, and only the task remains. The smartphone quarantine zone. We have designed the desk, anchored the line of sight, and adjusted the lighting. Now we must address the physical location of your smartphone. In the digital audit, we turned your phone grayscale and deleted the social applications. But even in its weakened state, the physical presence of the phone is a major liability. Research shows that simply having a smartphone visible on your desk, even if it is powered off and placed face down, actively reduces your cognitive capacity. Your brain still recognizes the object. It still remembers the dopamine hits associated with it. Part of your working memory is actively deployed just to suppress the urge to pick it up. If the phone is within arm's reach, it is a micro-distraction waiting to happen. The friction is too low. All it takes is one moment of frustration with your work for your hand to instinctively reach out and grab it. You must establish a physical quarantine zone. When you engage in a block of deep work, your phone cannot be in the same room as you. This is a non-negotiable rule. Put it on a charger in the kitchen. Leave it in your bedroom. Lock it inside a drawer in another room. By removing the phone from the room entirely, you are introducing massive physical friction. If you get the sudden urge to check your messages, you can no longer just reach out your hand. You have to break your physical posture. You have to push your chair back, stand up, walk across the room, open a door, walk down the hall, and retrieve the device. That physical journey takes time. It requires effort. And in those 10 seconds of walking, your logical brain has enough time to catch up with your impulsive brain. You will almost always stop yourself halfway down the hall, realize what you are doing, and return to your desk. Physical distance is the ultimate safeguard against momentary lapses in discipline. The threshold ritual. The final piece of the physical audit is understanding the psychology of state-dependent memory. Your brain associates physical locations with specific behaviors. If you frequently eat lunch at your desk, watch YouTube videos at your desk, and scroll through your phone at your desk, your brain associates that physical location with leisure and distraction. When you sit down and try to force yourself to work, you are fighting against your own environmental conditioning. You must completely separate your workspaces from your leisure spaces. The bunker you have just created, the clear desk, the blank wall, the focused lighting, must be treated as sacred ground. You do not eat there. You do not relax there. You do not browse the internet there. When you sit in that specific chair under that specific light, you only do one thing: you execute. Over time, your brain will build a powerful association between that physical environment and deep focus. The act of sitting down and turning on that single desk lamp will become a Pavlovian trigger. Your brain will automatically begin shifting into a flow state simply because you have entered the physical space dedicated exclusively to that purpose. You have now engineered a physical reality that demands your attention. Your digital devices have been neutralized. Your physical space has been optimized for zero friction. You have stripped away every excuse and every possible escape route. The environment is perfect, but an environment is just a container. Now we must govern the behavior that happens inside that container. In the final phase of this process, we are going to establish the unbreakable rules of engagement. We are going to write the accountability contracts that will dictate exactly how you operate moving forward. We have completely sterilized your digital landscape, and we have anchored your physical environment. You are sitting in the bunker. The desk is clear. The lighting is focused. The phone is in another room. The environment is now heavily biased toward deep work, but an optimized environment is still just an empty container. It only sets the stage. The final barrier between you and absolute unbreakable focus is your own internal behavior. If you sit down at your perfectly clean desk without a highly specific set of behavioral parameters, your brain will still attempt to negotiate. It will try to convince you that checking your email just this once won't hurt, or that you need to take a quick break to stretch after only 10 minutes. To override this internal negotiation, we must identify your behavioral variables and lock them down using strict, formalized accountability contracts. Before you can write a contract, you must understand the exact behavioral variables that cause a distraction to materialize. Every single time you break focus, a sequence of 3 variables has perfectly aligned. The trigger, the initial cue. This can be external, like a notification sound, or internal, like a sudden feeling of boredom, frustration, or a spike in anxiety when the work gets difficult. The action, the mechanical movement. This is the act of opening a new tab, getting out of your chair, or picking up a device. The reward, the chemical payoff, the momentary relief from the difficulty of the task, accompanied by a cheap dopamine hit from consuming novel information. Our digital and physical audits eliminated the external triggers. We removed the notifications and the visible devices, but the internal triggers, the boredom, the difficulty of the work, the urge to escape, will always exist. Because we cannot stop the internal trigger from firing, we must completely sever the connection between the trigger and the action. We do this by artificially introducing severe consequences and unyielding boundaries. We do this through an accountability contract. What is an accountability contract? Most people operate on intentions. They wake up and say, "I am going to work really hard today," or "I am not going to check social media until noon." These are not rules, they are wishes. They are flimsy, vague statements that dissolve the exact second your willpower drops. When the work gets hard at 10:30 a.m., your brain easily rationalizes breaking an intention. An accountability contract is a non-negotiable, hyper-specific agreement you make with yourself before you enter the bunker. It removes all decision-making in the moment. When you are operating under a contract, you do not have to decide whether or not to check your email. The contract has already made that decision for you. Here is the difference between how amateurs operate and how professionals execute. The amateur intentions. I'm going to work on this script for a while. I'll try to ignore my phone. If I get distracted, I'll just try harder. The professional contracts. I will write continuously from 8 a.m. to 9:30 a.m. My phone is physically locked in a drawer until 11 a.m. If I break this block, I forfeit my leisure time tonight. Structuring the contract, time, scope, and penalty. A valid accountability contract must contain 3 precise elements: time, scope, and penalty. If it lacks even one of these, it is void. First, time. You must establish an exact down-to-the-minute start time and end time for your focus block. I will work for an hour is not a valid parameter. I will initiate deep work at 9 a.m. and terminate at 10:30 a.m. is a valid parameter. By defining the exact edges of the block, you create a psychological container. Your brain knows exactly when the pain of effort will begin and exactly when it will be permitted to rest. This drastically reduces the anxiety of starting. Second, scope. What exactly are you doing inside that time container? You cannot simply work. You must define the single output. I will write 1,000 words of the new script. I will edit the first 5 minutes of the video. You are committing to a singular outcome. If an idea for a different project arises, it falls outside the scope of the contract and must be ignored until the time container expires. Third, and most importantly, the penalty. A contract without a penalty clause is just a suggestion. If there is no consequence for breaking the rule, your brain will eventually break it. The penalty must be immediate, and it must genuinely sting. If you break your focus block by opening a new tab to browse the internet, you must pay the penalty. This could be monetary, transferring $20 to a friend or a charity you hate. It could be behavioral, forcing yourself to do 50 burpees the moment you break focus. It could be structural, forfeiting your right to watch television or play video games that evening. The penalty forces your present self to consider the immediate suffering of your future self. When the internal trigger fires and you feel the urge to open a distraction, the penalty creates a massive wall of psychological friction. Your brain calculates the cost of the distraction against the pain of the penalty, and it chooses to stay focused. Technological enforcers, automating the contract. You should not rely solely on your own integrity to uphold the contract. You are a human being, which means you are fallible. You will experience moments of extreme fatigue where you are tempted to accept the penalty just to escape the work. To prevent this, we deploy technological enforcers. These are systems designed to physically or digitally enforce the terms of your contract, removing your ability to negotiate entirely. If your contract states that you will not use the internet for anything other than your word processor between 9 a.m. and 11 a.m., you do not just promise to obey that rule. You use a desktop application like Cold Turkey, Freedom, or Focus Me to aggressively block every single website except the one you need. You configure these applications so that they cannot be bypassed. You randomize the password and throw it away. You make it computationally impossible to access the distraction until the time container expires. If your smartphone is the primary issue, a physical lockbox is the ultimate enforcer. These are simple plastic containers with a digital timer built into the lid. You place your phone inside, set the timer for 90 minutes, and press lock. Once the timer starts, the box will not open. You can smash it with a hammer, but short of destroying the device, you cannot access your phone. This is the ultimate realization of the bunker mentality. You are outsourcing your discipline to a piece of plastic and a circuit board. You are acknowledging your own biological weakness and engineering a system that completely bypasses it. The ritual of signing. The final step of the accountability contract is the physical act of signing it. This sounds incredibly simple, almost performative, but the psychological impact is profound. Every single morning before you begin your first deep work block, you do not just think about your contract. You write it down on a physical piece of paper. You write, between 8 a.m. and 10 a.m., I will outline the quarterly strategy. I will use only one browser tab. My phone is locked in the other room. If I break this block for any reason, I forfeit all leisure screen time tonight. And then you sign your name at the bottom. By physically writing the parameters and signing your name, you are engaging the motor cortex of your brain. You are transforming an abstract thought into a tangible physical artifact. You are making a legally binding agreement with yourself. Place that piece of paper directly in front of your keyboard. When the boredom hits at 9:15 a.m. and your brain begs you to open a new tab just for 10 seconds, you look down at the paper. You see your own signature. You see the penalty in black and white. At that exact moment, you face a binary choice. You can either respect the signature, honor the contract, and build the future you claim you want, or you can break the contract, accept the penalty, and admit to yourself that you are incapable of controlling your own mind. When you frame the decision with that level of brutal clarity, the choice becomes obvious. You stay in the bunker. You execute the work. The compound effect of controlled attention. Eliminating micro-distractions is not a one-time event. It is a daily, aggressive defense of your most valuable resource. When you operate under these contracts, when your digital environment is clean, your physical environment is anchored, and your behavioral variables are locked down, you unlock a level of cognitive endurance most people will never experience. You stop bleeding glucose on cheap stimuli. You stop resetting the 20-minute timer required to enter flow. You stop operating in a constant state of low-grade anxiety and context switching. Instead, you enter a state of deep, unyielding momentum. Tasks that used to take you 4 hours of fragmented, miserable effort are suddenly completed in 90 minutes of clean, effortless execution. You buy back your time. You buy back your energy. You stop playing the amateur's game of trying to out-willpower algorithms built by billionaires. You rig the game in your favor before you even sit down at the desk. The people who achieve massive, undeniable success are not necessarily smarter than you. They do not necessarily have better ideas. They simply have an uncompromising, ruthless ability to dictate exactly where their attention goes, and they brutally eliminate anything that attempts to steal it. This is the standard. This is the blueprint. Now you have to execute. You have engineered the perfect environment. You built the bunker, you sterilized your digital landscape, and you have signed an unbreakable accountability contract. You execute a flawless 2-hour block of deep, unyielding focus. You feel incredibly productive. And then the timer goes off. The contract expires. What happens next? For the vast majority of people, this is exactly where the entire system violently collapses. They finish their deep work, lean back in their chair, and instantly reward themselves by unlocking their phone and scrolling through short-form content. They flood their brain with the exact cheap dopamine they just spent 2 hours trying to avoid. You absolutely cannot do this. The recovery phase is just as critical as the focus phase. If you immediately shatter your concentration by jumping straight into a high-stimulation digital environment, you completely destroy the neurochemical baseline you worked so hard to establish. Your brain gets whiplash. You are teaching your biology that deep work is simply a painful waiting period before the next dopamine binge. When you complete a block of deep work, your prefrontal cortex is heavily fatigued. It has burned through a significant amount of glucose. But at the same time, your mind is existing in a state of high-quality, stable calm. The static noise is gone. You must aggressively protect that state of calm. You have to learn how to decompress without relying on a glowing screen to numb your fatigue. This requires you to embrace the concept of low dopamine recovery. Low dopamine recovery means engaging in physical and mental activities that allow your brain to rest without spiking your neurochemistry. When the timer goes off and your focus block ends, stand up and physically leave the bunker. Step away from the desk entirely. Go for a 10-minute walk outside and leave your phone behind. Sit in a chair and stare out the window. Drink a glass of water in silence. Make a cup of coffee without listening to a podcast. or checking your messages while the water boils. These actions sound incredibly boring to a modern brain, and that is exactly the point. You are allowing your mind to wander naturally. This idle time is when your brain actually consolidates the complex information you just processed during your focus block. It is the time when subconscious problem solving happens. More importantly, by refusing to spike your dopamine during your break, you preserve your chemical capacity to enter a second or third focus block later in the day. You are keeping the engine idling smoothly rather than redlining it. The people who sustain elite output over years and decades do not treat focus as a switch they flip on and off wildly. They treat their attention as a continuous baseline state of being. They protect their downtime just as fiercely as they protect their work time. If you want to permanently delete micro distractions from your life, you have to stop viewing them as rewards for hard work. They are not rewards. They are poisons that erode your capacity to think deeply. Guard your recovery time, stabilize your baseline, and you will unlock a level of sustained execution you never thought possible. You now have the exact blueprint to take back control of your attention. You understand the behavioral variables of micro-distractions. You know how to audit your environment, and you have the framework to write your own accountability contracts. But knowing is not enough. Information without execution is useless. Right now, as soon as this video ends, I want you to do one thing. Don't try to change your whole life today. Just pick one micro distraction we talked about, whether it's turning off your smartwatch notifications, putting your phone in another room, or closing those 20 extra tabs, and eliminate it. Reclaim your focus. Reclaim your time. If this video gave you a new perspective on how you work, hit the subscribe button right now. We build new frameworks for peak performance every single week on DreamBuildAchieve, and you don't want to miss what's coming next. Leave a comment down below with the one micro distraction you are eliminating today. I read every single one, and I want to see your accountability contract in the comments. Keep building, keep achieving, and I'll see you in the next one.